Today I got my boy Tiny, if you want to call him Tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny's a big boy. So as always, I start every conversation off with a little story about the person I have on, the guest I have on. Um, Tiny, he hadn't heard this story, so it'll be the first time hearing it too. First time I met him was in Philadelphia a few years ago. The Fit Expo tried I don't know if it was the first year they did it or maybe they've done it since then, but they tried a Fit Expo in Philadelphia, and I went up. And as always, when I'm in Philly, I always move around with my boy Tommy Knight from Knight's Gym. He was trying to show me around, introduce me to people. So we ran into Tiny. And so when I see him, he's a huge dude, right? And people who know me personally, they know I'm kind of soft spoken for the most part. I don't really engage people that much, a little bit of social anxiety, but he was super nice, super funny. He had his camera with him. So funny thing is, I didn't even know he powerlifted that day because he never made any indication that he powerlifted. He was like, he had his camera out, he was vlogging, talking about all his media stuff. And so I started following him. Then I realized he's a badass powerlifter too. And so funny thing is, everyone who followed me intently knew I had in the Air Tonight by Phil Collins was always my favorite hype song whenever I lift. And I had to explain to people over a while why that was my favorite hype song. People were like, dude, what the fuck? Phil Collins, whatever. But Tiny made the funniest video of me in my build up, doing my ammonia inhale and all that jazz, man. It was funny as shit. So ever since that day, man, he's been one of my favorite. Of course, his Instagram information will be in the caption, so make sure you go follow him. He's going through a lot of stuff right now. I think it's gonna be very informative for people who just with what's going on in the country right now, with the world right now. That's part of why I wanted to get him on, but also just to talk, man. He's a very, very good spirit, great father, great husband, a lot of great things. I can't think of anything bad to say about this brother that I know of, right? So I think you guys enjoy the interview, man. He's very outspoken. So there you have it, Tiny Richardson, man. That's my guy.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Appreciate you being on, bro. Now, where are you from originally, bro? Where do you live right now?
I'm living right now in Millville, New Jersey. I'm originally from Willingboro, New Jersey, right? And Millville and Willingboro is totally different areas. It's just crazy.
I got you.
But it's a good time though.
Okay, cool. Now, are you from that area originally, or you relocate there? Or?
I relocated here after I turned around and met my beautiful wife, and we had my little one already, and then we also turned around and had to get a bigger house, so because we had another one coming. So that's what wound up casting us out to Millville, because you know how houses were sort of expensive all the daggone time, but this area was actually pretty nice, get bang for your dollars.
I got you. My grandfather always told me, anytime a man makes a drastic move in his life, it's usually behind a woman. So I guess it's and if you got your good man, and all indications show you have an amazing wife, man. I've followed you, of course, for a while, and even more recently, she's been a lot more involved in your page. So, and again, we'll touch on that here in a bit, man. So that's awesome too. So as a power lifter, bro, how long have you been powerlifting?
Wow. Turned around. I went back and looked at the videos. It's been since what, 2017, 2016.
Okay.
So how long has that been? Was that 6-7 years now?
Yeah. So that means that right around the time I met you, I guess you were getting into it then.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Just stumbling into it.
Okay. Maybe that's why you were so humble when you didn't really say anything about it. I got you. Mm-hmm. Cool. Before we get into powerlifting, man, let's go ahead and let's get into the elephant in the room as it pertains to you. I don't know if you've done any other interviews or if anything else, if anyone ever asked you, but I do know you have a pretty loyal following on your IG, very organic following. People love following your page, and so I know anyone who follows you knows you've been going through some complications following your bout with COVID. I reached out to you, man, I guess a few weeks ago, and funny enough, I guess the first time we were gonna do the interview, we had tornadoes touch down here. Yeah. And so I had like no power. I couldn't even do it. We had to cancel it. So now we're back here 2 weeks later, and you were gracious enough to let me reschedule, man. So I guess latter part of last year, you were stricken with COVID.
Yes.
Take it from there, kind of just, I guess, walking through the process, man, everything you've been dealing with so far.
In the beginning, I didn't even know I had COVID. It literally, the only thing that sent me to the hospital was my wife, me and her were talking, and she touched me, and she was like, "You're burning up." And she took my temperature. Come to find out, I had 108 degree temperature, and I'm steady conversating like nothing's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So she kicked me out to the hospital. I admitted myself into the ER. They turned around, and I got a phone call from my wife saying that she was going through labor, having contractions.
Jeez.
So the doctor felt I was good enough in order to leave the hospital. So they let me run home, pick her up, take her to the Pennsylvania hospital. And honestly, after I dropped her off, I couldn't tell you what happened. I somehow made it to the VA right in Philadelphia, and next thing you know, they were talking about putting me in a coma, and after that, it's whatever happened.
Kind of a blur. Now I do know,
Yeah.
following your page, man, you say you're in a coma. How long were you in a coma for?
It was what, 4 to 5 months, right?
Wow.
Went through a whole lot of bull crap with that. They blood transfusions. They said I died about 3-4 times. Um, it was rough,
Yeah, it was
especially
rough.
yeah.
And then I know you said that when you woke up, you had issues with your vision, right?
Yeah,
Now,
that's where these are coming into play now.
okay.
Still
So
can't
did
see.
they say that was a direct result of something went on with COVID, or?
Oh yes. Literally, like before the coma, you talking about a person. I was standing at what? When I got to the hospital, I weighed at 460.
Mm-hmm.
Bench pressing, squatting, loving life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Next thing you know, I wake up. I'm what, 300 pounds. Right. Sunken chest, small shoulders, can't
Yeah.
see, can't breathe. Literally could not move. Right. I was bedridden, with tubes in my throats, ventilated. Right. It was a little horrible.
Yeah. And I don't want to take this time, I don't want to take this as an opportunity to be on one side or the other of the whole COVID, conversation. I really just want to give people a firsthand, insight on your experience, like exactly what you went through. Not to say that the way it was handled was the right way or the wrong way. I still feel personally like we're still learning a lot about this virus, so it's really hard to
Yes.
say. But I mean, 4 or 5 months in a coma, bro, like I couldn't imagine. So, and then during that time, you wake up with a newborn, and I guess life's a little different too, right?
Yeah, life was totally different. I genuinely didn't remember anything. Not waking up, I didn't know I had a child. I couldn't recognize my wife, right? She was my girlfriend at the moment, and did not recognize her, didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was, left or right. I couldn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
Right. Luckily she put pictures up on the wall showing, past events, me and her together. And she freaked out when I woke up and I couldn't tell who she was. And
Yeah.
she said, "Oh no, you gonna know me today." And she beat my ass, and she made me remember.
That's crazy. So when you wake up, how long do you spend in the hospital before you came home?
After I woke up, I stayed in the hospital for another, what, I want to say 3 to 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to recover, and I think another 2 months of rehab. So all in total is probably around like 8 to 9 months in the hospital.
I got you. So
Mm.
residual, or should I say, issues you're still having now, I guess residual issues. I mean, your vision coming back okay, though? They feel like it's gonna ever be back 100%, or they don't know, or
They
respiratory
look in my
system.
eyes and they say, your eyes look perfectly fine, everything's normal. And I'm like, well, if you try to rob me today, I couldn't give a description of, you. Like looking at
Yeah.
the camera right now, I really can't see your face.
Yeah.
Right. I remember what you look like. That's the only reason why I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
But I can't see nothing really. Everything's blurry, but I'm alive. That's the best good part
Yeah.
about
That's the
it.
crazy thing. And I know when you came back, man, a lot of your posts when you first came back, and I have to admit, I give you all the props, man, for the way you came back, because you came on, you didn't shy away from what happened to you. You didn't try to
Mhm.
put up a filter. And just call it what it was. I mean, when you came back on, you look like a man who'd been in a coma for 5 months.
Yeah.
You look like it. And so, and I think you, knowing your page, knowing how you've always been very, unedited and very much, just truthful. And so I wouldn't
Mhm.
expect anything different from you. So I think the way you came back, man, and let people know what's going on was very, was dope, for lack of a better term.
I appreciate
Um,
it.
And I did remember that point, you know, your wife, I remember you guys got married. You guys talked about that. Um, and also she did for you, man. But I guess it's really, really scary because you hear people like your case, what I would consider maybe the one of the worst cases I've ever heard of. But then people like myself, I had it. November of the first year was out, and I had, I had flu-like symptoms, but it wasn't like what you went through. You understand? So um, it's just for me personally, it's a very nervous time to be in because it's so unsure. And I think even with you probably would say there's probably still some unanswered questions. You don't know, like why you say why you can't see like you used to see right now, or things like that. So were they able to give you any kind of explanation for some of the stuff that you went through, or they just said they're still trying to figure it out?
The one thing I gotta give the VA is that they're very upfront and honest with you, right? They told me straight, like, this is a new virus, like you said. Nobody knows anything that's going on. It's something that's new. It's biting people in the behind. Some people only get, a cough and a hack. Other people are literally they're dying.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough in order to wake up. Right. The main thing that saved me is, like, I love my wife to death. She was the only reason why I was able to wake up, because within 2 months they wanted to pull the plug on me.
Oh wow.
Thinking that I was going to wake up not knowing anything and won't recover. And she fought for me. She literally, kept me alive. And I woke up and thank the higher up, the higher powers above, that, I can remember things now. And with me now, I'm living with like still the taste issues, the smell issues. I went from squatting 900,000 pounds to where I could barely, get up and down by myself now. It's getting better, but it took a toll on me.
Yeah, I saw you kind of get back in the gym a little bit here and there, man. So that's very good to see too. And I mean, shit. So this happened, and again, I've been following you for some years now. So even before that, you had the neck injury, right?
Yeah. I've been busted up left and right, but
so what I remember following a little bit about it, and I couldn't quite figure out what happened. I know you recovered from it. You were literally on the mend. You had bounced back and damn near back to your full self.
It was before that was the lower back. I ruptured the what the hell are they called? The disc, ruptured that. Right. They had to do surgery on the lower back, fix that up. Then I had a slip in the neck, where I almost got paralyzed from that. And they had to go through surgery again. And each time it took like 2-3 weeks in order to get back into the gym.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden just fly right into regular. It's been a few months now, and I'm still like, I'm getting back in there, but it's just this motherfucker kicked my ass.
and not that I want to dwell on your misfortune. I bring all those instances up for a reason, because I'll say this, bro. So I feel like everybody crosses paths with people for a reason, right? And the reason I was so diligent and so dead set on getting you on is because I watched your page intermittently, sometimes more attentive than other times, but you've always been a positive spirit. And so I brought those three things up to be like, okay, if this man went through a lower back surgery, damn near being paralyzed from a neck injury, and then literally almost losing his life for damn near a 4 to 9 month span, in the hospital with COVID, and he came home, and I've never, ever heard you complain, waver, say anything negative about anything. Like, you're always like, just get shit done. Life's gonna be what it is. So I had to ask you, so what do you think that came from? Is your upbringing, man, your family, your mom, your dad? Like, how does someone get that kind of mental fortitude? Like, I don't think that's natural. I don't think the average person has that,
Dude, it could be natural. It's just a lot of people, like, when something comes along, like, they get stuck on this on the darker side of it, and they let the darker side turn around and just corrupt them and eat at them, instead of looking at the darker side and be like, yeah, how can I fix that? How can I, build upon that? How can I get stronger from it? My mom and dad, my dad was an asshole, right? And he put me through some stuff and all that different stuff, but he tried his best.
Yeah.
Right. I was the firstborn, and he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was like, his mom was strict, right? And she beat his ass and then turn around. He tried the same with me, but a little bit less, aggressively. And I'm sort of happy that he did that because it taught me how to walk in the world where today is literally, just being the color of your skin, being big, being a man, you're a target.
Yeah.
Or somebody's going to always want to fight you, or somebody's want to pick on you, or somebody's going to want to tease you. And I was teased on from a kid.
Yeah.
But luckily I had my parents who sort of were rough with me and exposed me to certain things, and they taught me afterwards, hey, this is the world. You're stronger than the world. You're stronger than anything that could come your way. You're stronger than any bull crap that could get thrown at you. Nothing can hurt you.
Yeah.
So I took that and built on it, where it was like, I look at it as like, how can I describe it? Most people claim Christianity, Catholicism, and all that different stuff. I claim agnostic. I believe in a higher power. And the only thing that can honestly take me out is the word of God. You know what I'm saying? When it's time to go home, it's time to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing on this planet is going to take me out unless it's my time.
Yeah.
So therefore I can accomplish, I could be, I can grow, I can become whatever I want. And I want people to realize that too.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to stay positive. But yes, there is times when I'm just like, dude, after I woke up, I admitted I wished I did die, because it was like I lost everything. I lost strength. I lost able to take care of myself. I felt like a burden. I felt just worthless.
Yeah.
My doctors literally had to kick me in the ass, and my wife literally had to, help me wash my ass in order to make me feel like, hey, I can survive.
Yeah. I mean, just hearing you say that, man, like waking up and having those thoughts, like it sent chills to me just now hearing you say that, because that's real. Like, we were talking a little bit before we started the broadcast, or started recording. I'm sorry, broadcast. Started recording, about how having to step away from something you love to do, or not be able to do it at the level that you once did it. Sometimes you start to identify with who that person or that thing is. All right, I'm gonna call it a thing, not really even a person. And that thing being, a weightlifter or a basketball player, or I don't really call those persons; those are things. All right, and when you identify with those things, when it's taken away from you, yeah, that can cripple a person mentally and physically, but probably more mentally than anything. So when hear you say that, running sends chills through me, but at the same time, it makes me admire you more, because of like just I encourage everybody who's watching this interview, if you don't, go follow Tiny, bro. Like he's if I had to say anything, I think he might be destined to be a motivational speaker, bro. I'll be honest with you. Like I've thought about it. I had a good friend of mine who went through some things years ago, and he started motivational speaking behind it. And God rest his soul, he's no longer with us, but it ended up being his calling. And with you, bro, like you have a very you speak very well, you're very smart, you articulate very well, and you speak with a lot of passion about everything you talk about. So I think that's awesome, man. So now moving forward from all that, maybe I guess trying to appreciate life a little differently now. How do you look at life every day now as opposed to before, your stint in the hospital?
Wow. The first thing that pops in my head is like, I was the type of person who was like, the afterlife I wasn't scared of. I was like, I'm gonna live my life to the fullest. Nothing's gonna make me, sort of, hold back. Then all of a sudden I come home and it's like I have 2 children now. I have a household, I have a wife, right? The dreams during the coma were horrible, and it made me start questioning, afterlife. So what's making me do now is like, it made me realize, like, even beforehand, I would say, I don't live for myself. I live for, trying to help others. Right. Because the most greatest thing that I could do for myself is try to make somebody feel good. Right. Because once that person feels good, I'm feeling great. Right. So then turn around and just trying to inspire people, make people realize that, like, what they're doing nowadays is like, hey, you could be a basketball player, you could be a football player, you could do that. No, think bigger than that. You could be a coach, you could be the inventor of something brand spanking new. There's no limit to you. And that's one of the things I realized after I woke up. that I have to appreciate even more of the life that I could become.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like I sat up there and I was like, okay, I want to be this weightlifter, this power lifter, and get these goals, but I can do even more now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I want somebody else to realize they can do even more now. I've been through this and I can make it here.
Yeah.
And it's I I got a taste for new blood. I just want more now.
Yeah.
I want to get stronger again. I want to grow more. I want to inspire more.
I got you. That's awesome, man. So you mentioned dreams during the coma. So I guess I should have asked this question earlier.
Yeah.
I guess I've had the fortune to never be in a coma. Hopefully, most people will never have to experience that. But I guess it makes you a unique person because you have experienced it. So in a coma, like, so you say you dream, is it just like a really deep sleep? How would you describe it? Do you hear what's going on around you? Because we all watch on television. You see, oh my God, he's in a coma, and then he's like he squeezes your hand if you hear the type of, so like what
Uh,
is it in real life?
Honestly, like, every book is different. Every person's different. I can't speak for, Timmy over there or John over there. I can only speak for what I went through. And it was, I'm a disabled vet, right?
Mhm.
I have military experience. I've been deployed, went to Iraq, all that good stuff, right?
Thank you.
The dreams that I had in the coma, I would rather be busting down doors in Iraq,
Oh wow.
right? Damn near getting shot up, blown up, and all that different stuff compared to
Yeah.
going through that again.
Yeah.
Them dreams were horrible. And I asked the doctors, I said, is that something that's normal? And they said people in comas do have bad dreams, right? And the dreams were horrible enough in order to make me realize
Yeah, I feel you.
like I told my wife last night, and it's weird that you said that, bringing this up. I told her, I said, it made me question about the afterlife. Like I said,
Mm.
that if I went to hell, hell is supposed to be something where it's like you can only fathom a feather of what it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
That dream was damn near the whole entire duck. And if hell's worse than that, I
Damn.
need to get right.
Yeah, yeah. And because
Oh
because
man.
you're talking about it right now, and as you're talking, I'm trying to recount like when I have nightmares now.
Hmm.
And when I have a nightmare, especially like a really bad nightmare, it feels real. Like, when you're in a nightmare, but then you wake up, you
Yes.
know. So now imagining unable to wake up.
You
And
don't know this shit. Like I didn't know I was asleep. Like
ah,
it literally, my wife said she came there not every day, but like majority 95% of the time she was there.
mm,
I did not know she was there. She said that the doctors had to restart my heart with the electrodes and all that different stuff, like shock me back to life a few times.
mm,
Blood transfusions, getting poked. I had a tube in my throat for me to breathe.
mm,
Right. She hated laying next to me because she said it was like laying next to a machine because there
mm,
was no life in me. But on my side of the note, I was dreaming being deployed,
mm,
being tortured, being eaten alive, being like it was so vivid and so deep that I thought I was alive over there.
yeah,
All of a sudden I wake up to being back here and it's like 4 months literally felt like 10 years.
yeah,
And that scared the shit out of me.
yeah, man. I don't even know. So, you know, when everyone talks about the issues with COVID, and I'm sure other people have had similar experiences to yours, right?
Mhm.
And when it first hit us, like most anyone, I think none of us really knew, okay, this is really that serious. And I think, especially in our country, we have this false sense of protection, I think, sometimes, right? And what I mean by
Mhm.
that is, especially due to people like yourself, armed forces, like you guys keep things at bay that we never have to even worry about, right? And I think because of that, whenever we hear about something going on in society that could be detrimental to us, it's always like, oh, they'll take care of it before it gets to us.
Mhm.
Oh, no, they'll take care of it, right? And I think that's kind of how it was with COVID. I hear about it, okay, it hit China, it's hit these other countries, and I'm like, we'll be all right though. Like, we'll be good. And then it starts hitting us, like in our front door, in our
Mhm.
bedrooms, in our living rooms, right? And I was never one to speak lightly of it. I did, speak my apprehensions of how serious it was. But I think now where we're at now, I could see in the first few months people being a little apprehensive, maybe in the first year or so. But now the people have seen, the devastation this thing has caused. For me to say, "Oh, Tommy, you tripping, bro?" Like I only had flu-like symptoms. Like you can't do that to people. No, you got to be a little more sensitive about it. And now, I shouldn't say sensitive. You should be a little more cognizant of it. And it also makes me wonder too, like at what point are we going to figure something out? I understand that they're doing what they can do. I'm not trying to make that debate on this conversation, but it's just a very, very, very real situation we're living in. And I guess for me, I never in my life would have thought that I would have seen something like this. Because for me, and I think like most of us, we hear about the plague, we hear about the Great Depression, we hear about all these things from back in the day. And we feel like, oh, that was back then. Like we corrected all that stuff now. We're safe. Nah, bro, like it can happen.
That's this perfect example, man. Like we talk about how like the ice caps are melting and all that different stuff. You gotta realize that that's a million years of something trapped in ice. It only takes one layer for it to unfreeze, and all of a sudden, here you go. Here goes a new virus, a new plague. And the presidents and microbiologists and scientists, they're all men and women like me and you.
Yep.
They're learning. They don't know.
And that's another thing too. I think we put titles or we put suffixes behind people's name, and as soon as they just know, we go to our doctor. Like when I go to my doctor, fix me. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
And they're guessing
just like
they got knowledge. Like I'm not gonna sit and like belittle them, like, oh, y'all don't know shit.
Yeah.
They got knowledge, but it's still like every book's different. They literally told me I was the youngest and longest person in the coma at their hospitals. That I'm like a bookmark for them.
Yeah,
they didn't know anything.
Yeah, you got VIP access for the rest of your life,
basically. And then you sit there and you look at that, and then you look at the other stuff that's going on with the doctors and stuff. They're learning, and COVID. Look, I was one of them guys who was like, I'm wearing a sheet over for a little bit of a mask, complain about the mask mandates, complain about, we should have our rights and da. Right. I was more about small businesses closing down. I was getting angry about that. Yeah. Right. Like you brought up, I think Tommy for Night's Gym.
Yeah.
Right. He was one of the ones who was affected by it. Right. And it pissed me off. It was like, yo, like you got these small businesses. What are y'all doing? Like they're dying out here. We need help. I gave COVID this respect because yes, it's a virus. It will kill you. You know what I'm saying? It will knock a motherfucker down. But I didn't like what the media was doing with it.
Yeah.
The media was scaring people. Like I'm giving you all this fear. I'm not giving you how to fix it. But I'm going to give you this fear because you're going to watch it. Get my ratings up. That's wrong.
Yeah.
So I give COVID this respect. I give it his props. I just don't like what the media did. The media was fucked up on their end.
I remember waking up one Saturday morning, I guess October maybe, whenever the movie Don't Look Up came out. I remember waking up that Saturday morning and I saw it on my television, and it's funny why I even watched it.
Yeah,
Leonardo DiCaprio and Tyler Perry. I was like, I gotta watch this. I was like, I gotta watch this. Like, I gotta see how are these two in the same thing. So that's how I started watching it. So I'm laying there, and I'm watching it that morning. I think it may be raining or whatever. So I never got out of bed, just kind of chilling out, having a lazy day. And as it gets to the end of the movie, I'm thinking to myself, aside from the satire and the comedy of the movie, this is one of the greatest movies of all time. Is what I'm thinking. Right. And I was really surprised at how it didn't go viral. All right. And I air quotes because, Kim Kardashian removes her last name and it goes viral. Right. Elon Musk does something to his daughter's shoe and it goes viral. We have one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion, that puts a spotlight on so much of our society that's important. And it's almost like people rather turn a blind eye. And the irony of it is the movie is about that. The movie is about people turning a blind eye to what could potentially be devastation. Because
That's why it didn't go viral.
yeah, that's why it didn't go viral. People don't, they don't want to, you know, I liken it to, this. All right, I wear a CPAP machine. All right. And so I had an ex from many years ago who first brought to my attention, you know, she was like, yeah, you know, you start breathing at night. Whatever. I didn't want to hear it. A couple years go by, I started having headaches, I'm feeling tired all the time. And then I started powerlifting, I got bigger, I started gaining weight. So that made it even worse. And it was like one of those things, I knew I had sleep apnea, but I didn't want to go be told I had sleep apnea, right? And so with the movie Don't Look Up, it's kind of the same thing. We just rather just act like we don't see the comment coming. You know, and you're right, man, what you're just saying, like people, we need to be aware instead of when things are brought to our attention, instead of just instilling fear and, you know, the sky's falling, like let's take some logical approaches to it. Let's really assess what's going on. You know what I mean? So what's your background? I've always been intrigued by your background, man, because like I said, you're very intelligent. And I've always, when I look at people's page that I follow, I tend to read captions a little more than just look at the post. Look at verbiage, you know, I try to find, you know, the hitting meaning, what they're talking about, and just gotta get a bit of, especially somebody who I'm invested in, like somebody who I think is a dope creator. So what's your background in terms of your intellect, in terms of like your interests, things that you've done to make you as learned as an individual as you are?
Wow. Like I heard you say that I'm intelligent about 4 times already. And the funny part about it, you see that, I don't see that. I literally call myself, and this is gonna sound wrong as hell, I call myself a dumb fuck, I'm stupid, you know. I got that stupid knowledge. Like I just learned that Man of War's tentacles can grow up to 100 feet, right? Below the sea level.
Yeah.
It's like that stupid smart knowledge.
Yeah.
That you ain't gonna use. I got a lot of that.
Well, see, I consider, when I say intelligence, I think people assess intelligence sometimes to X's and O's, ones and twos, ABCs, you know, right? Me, intelligence is the ability to take in knowledge and digest knowledge, you know, and be aware, and then also to be able to articulate it. I think in our day of our generation of social media, smartphones, and all that jazz, being able to properly articulate yourself is a greater gift that I think that we've ever realized.
Yes.
A lot of people can't articulate their feelings, they can't articulate their thoughts, they can't articulate what they know. So it's a lot of people, it's a lot of very intelligent people, air quotes, who can't articulate what they know. So, you know, so that's why I think I keep using the word intelligent with you, because you've always made it a point to speak on what you know and admit what you don't know. But you give me the feeling that you're the type of person who will go find out what you don't know. You will go learn on it.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Yeah, so that's what I mean when I say intelligence.
Yeah, that's one thing that I will admit. Like, if I don't know it, I'm not one of them guys who will be like, "Oh, fake it till you know it." Yeah. Right? I'm literally like, I'll tell you straight to your face, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Give me 5 minutes. Let me go ask Siri real quick and try and learn about this. Right. And I think more people need to be like that, because that's where that false knowledge comes into play, where people will lie and be like, yeah, I know what it is. And come to find out they don't know shit. Yeah. Right. As far as articulation goes, like you hear me, I cuss left and right. But I speak truth from the heart. I don't try and sugarcoat things. I'm very in your face, blunt, where it's like, hey, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I love you enough to tell you the truth. You know, like your page inspires me left and right. The things that you've done inspire me left and right. Like you said, with the Phil Collins music, that really grabbed me because it reminded me of my parents left and right. But you're a true person. You're not putting on the front to try and sell me something or try and make me come over to your side. You'll let me stand on my side and believe what I want to believe, just as long as I'm open-minded enough in order to conversate with you and respect your side. Exactly. And that's where we sort of falter as humanity nowadays, where it's like, no, I'm right, you're wrong, fuck you, no, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Communicate, work together, talk to each other. That's one of the reasons why I think that movie Don't Look Up didn't go viral, because that was something that they were trying to tell you. Like
Yeah.
instead of fighting each other, work together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure out, like with COVID, they wanted to fight, certain people saying, hey, you're wrong. This is not going to work. Screw you, go to jail. No, let's work together. Let's have the stupid folks work with the smart folks, and the smart folks
Mm-hmm.
work with these folks, and let's see if the ideas sort of come together and work better.
Yeah.
And I wish it would be more like that throughout the world. But
Yeah, man. It's I will say I mentioned Elon Musk earlier, and what I like about him, people like him, people love him. I'm indifferent on the man. I tell you what, I watched a video. I watched an interview um yesterday, and I
are
credited
you
it.
able to
It was
hold
a
on for a second?
Hmm?
God, the baby's crying, and I
Oh
gotta
yeah, yeah. Well, how many, bro? You're good, bro.
give me two.
Yeah, back at it, man. So, but it's we're the world's crazy. So what I was getting to now is the interview. So I saw an interview a couple days ago with DL Hughley, the comedian, and he was on Vlad TV. He's on Vlad's channel. A lot of people know Vlad. He's real popular, whatever. Anyway, um, he was making a point about what was he talking about? Man, I lost my train of thought now. What were we talking about before?
You gonna ask me like
No. You good, bro? Let me. But yeah, so I was watching the Vlad TV interview, and I think it was he had a comedian on there. I forget the guy's name, but he mentioned a few people. He mentioned Elon Musk, he mentioned Steve Jobs, and mentioned Bill Gates. And he said a lot of people hate all three of those men. He said, but they respect them because they stand on what they are, what they believe in, and they put in the work to be where they are, right? You're right. We had this thing in our society where you're either right or you're wrong. And if you're not in line with what I want to do, then you're wrong. And you mentioned, how you follow me, how you look at my page. I just respect people, bro. Like I respect people for what it is they do. I know it's always kind of been this little thing in the fitness world. We people would make fun of, yoga instructors, or the CrossFitters make fun of bodybuilders, or the bodybuilders make fun of CrossFitters. Or I'm like, you know what, man? Every one of those avenues has something in it that I can't do. Right.
Yes, they do.
So in my gym, before I started powerlifting, we had a few Olympic lifters in there. And I've always said, bodybuilding, powerlifting, I don't care what the fuck you do. Olympic lifting to me is the most impressive weightlifting sport, period. That's my opinion, right? But that don't mean if you don't agree, we got to go. We got to fight about it, And that's just a gist of our society, man. And it's really sad. And I think sometimes when I'm by myself, just kind of looking at our world and people and humanity, and think like, where do we make the shift? Like, what happened? Was it the 80s? Was it the 90s? Was it the early 2000s? Was it before that? When did this shift happen to where people couldn't agree to disagree? Like that really it really irks me a bit, because it's almost like it just got more and more prevalent recently. Of course, we start talking race relations, especially, but I feel like it was a point in my life where it was kind of okay to disagree and still be homies, but now you can't do that. I do think a lot of it has to do with social media, because social media forces you to take a stand with people. So like if I'm a follower of Tiny Richardson and we consider ourselves homies, we hang out whenever we see each other in person, we follow each other, we like each other's stuff, we repost each other's stuff. Heaven forbid he post something one that I don't agree with. Like, oh my God, nah, I can't be Tiny's homie no more. Nah, that's one thing. But I think that's how some people look at it, because they feel like now they fear if I co-sign this, if I sort out that I've rocked with Tiny, then somebody else who follows me might see that I like his stuff and say, okay, oh, you rock with Tiny because you feel this. I think that's a lot of it too. I think social media chooses people to choose a side, force people to choose a side. I think social media is almost like a huge playground where all at recess. And who's the cool kid?
Yeah,
I want to be in his corner. You know what I mean?
And it's messed up. I see what you're saying about it. It's like I say, it makes people go black and white. Like one of my problems is like I have extreme opposites where it's like either it's this way or it's this way. And when it gets into like with the social media and goes into people trying to unify each other, if you don't agree with me, then I can't side with you. That's wrong thinking. I can't agree 100% with what you say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can agree with 75% of it. That 75%, we can still be friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's free thought, it's free will. It's like you might see pink, I might see purple, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna hate you because you see pink.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love you because you see a color.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? People just like you saying, social media has impacted life. But it's been something that's been going on for hundreds of years, and where it's like, if you looked at how old are you now?
39.
39. So me and you in the same boat. You
Mm-hmm.
remember grandma's house, right? Where it was whatchamacallit, where it was two parents that were home or two grandparents that were home.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And one went to work, one stayed home,
Mm-hmm.
and then that one would raise the children. There would be there was a different type of bond and family unity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Here it goes now where both parents have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like grandma's trying to watch the new generation ain't hearing it. They're stuck on their iPhones,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that family bond took a turn, and interaction with people, being able to socialize totally changed and went out the box, right? So some of the colors went away that way. Black and white
Yeah.
became the dominant issue, where it was like, I can't agree with you because I don't know how to really socialize with you.
Yeah.
Because all we're doing now is looking at our iPhones and we're not talking to each other.
Exactly.
And now add COVID to this, where people don't interact at all nowadays.
Yo, listen,
No
man.
facial.
Yeah. And so that's something else. And that's again why I say I consider you in the intelligent realm of people. All right. Because you think, I guess I'm almost I'm agreeing with you because, and I'm giving you props because you think like I think, which I guess is kind of what I just got through saying to a degree. But I thought about that too. We got forced to start wearing masks. And I think it's going to be something going to be indefinite. I don't know how long it's going to be before we remove the mask mandates totally, but I think masks going to be here for probably indefinitely. All right.
Yeah.
How much does a person's facial expressions affect our society? So my point is if we move through society, how long with the lack of facial expressions start to take a toll on how we socialize or interact as a society? Like those type of things. No different than when people with their phones in their hands all the time. Like how long did it take this to do what it's done to us now, right? And the biggest thing about this, you have children. I'm pretty sure it's happened with you. How your youngest is a newborn. How old is your oldest?
The oldest is 3 years old now.
All right, 3, right? So I'm pretty sure he or she is a little girl.
Both are boys.
Both, sorry. So I'm pretty sure your older 3-year-old is at the point now where he's trying to tell you guys things, but he don't know how to do it, right? And you see how he gets frustrated when he can't do it? And then he throws a temper tantrum because he's trying to tell you, I want orange juice or whatever it is. He don't know how to articulate it, and it makes him frustrated. Then he throws a temper tantrum.
Yep.
It's no different, I feel like, with human beings. People have these emotions, these mental handicaps. They have these psychological issues they have with it never been dealt with. All these things going in their brain, but because we've crippled ourselves with social media and with smartphones, we don't know how to properly articulate these things outwardly. And what it do to it, it makes us frustrated. No different than a child, right? And then now you have people walking around the world just frustrated. That's really what it is. We're just frustrated. We don't know how to articulate out our feelings, our emotions. I started talking about it on my page a while ago, and I want to have a conversation with you now. I think off camera. Let's talk a little bit more about this, man. But I really want to be more of an advocate for mental health, especially for men. I mean, because I'm being biased, my man. But just hearing stuff you talked about today with your issue going through COVID and how you had to just kind of bounce back and kind of just had to really just train your mind to not let it take you down. And then even talking about your childhood, growing up in a very stern or very strict childhood, I did the same thing. I didn't have a mother. My mother passed when I was 4 years old. My father raised me, right? And so he was extremely strict, extremely stern. And just like you said about your father, I'm glad he was that way because it equipped me to be able to handle life today in some areas. But at the same time, I think what you might say to yourself, it also crippled me in some ways too, because, right? So when you're men like us, like you said, we have very, very straight black and white. We don't really have a middle ground. And it's because I think maybe because of how our fathers were with us, you got shit done. It wasn't no, ooh, I can't do that. You either do it or you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't leave me very much room to be emotionally available the way I need to be, right?
Exactly.
And you might be coming to, I sound like a psychiatrist now, you might be coming to a phase now in your life with your wife where you may be realizing that better. And then having a newborn too, having kids. And so, yeah, man, I definitely think you need to get your podcast going, bro, and like start talking some of this stuff out, man.
That's true.
You
That's
need to,
true.
man. I'm not. I wasn't planning on saying this, but as we're talking right now, it just feels like it's the right thing to say. Like, bro, I think your purpose. I think you have a lot more purposes left, but I think right now where you're at, I think you have a very, very strong voice. It's just a matter of getting it out, man.
Yeah.
You're a dope person, bro. So going back, if we start crying on the camera, man, we both be over here wiping tears and shit. So you were military. Was your father military? Was there anybody else in your family military? Or just you?
Yeah, most of my dad's side was military.
Okay.
Mom's side, they weren't military too much.
So did you move around a lot as a kid?
No, but
Okay.
dad was deployed a lot.
Okay.
Mm.
Gotcha. Man. So all your life in Jersey?
Not all my life in Jersey. I spent some time in Kentucky, Tennessee at 101st, 101st Airborne Division, right?
Okay.
Screaming Eagles, 50 Deuce all day, right?
Okay.
Then what? Did a few months over there in Mosul, Iraq, and then most of the time here back in Jersey.
Yeah.
So
now I interviewed a young kid a couple weeks ago. Everybody he goes by Shaw. You might know a Shaw, small kid. I think he competes at the 130, but strong as hell. He's an Oxford size.
wow.
But he's from Newark, right? So I don't know
Okay.
how far Newark is from where you are, but he gave me some stories about growing up in Newark. And he's like, yeah, he said, bro, I got robbed at gunpoint one time as a kid. He said, I saw somebody get shot in the head one day on the block. So like for you growing up in Jersey, what was your experience growing up in Jersey?
I was more in the suburbs, so I didn't get held up at gunpoint all the time. I had to deal more with the cops being tool bags, right? I had one cop. I've been held at gunpoint by cops about 4 or 5 times in my life, right? One time I admit I was being stupid. I jumped out the car when I got pulled over, and I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. Cop drew his weapon, right? And get back in the fucking car. Da, 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 da. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Right. And he schooled me. He said, you don't ever do that. So okay, cool. My bad. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Then I got another one drawn on me when there was noise behind my house. So I went back there. They had a whole lineup of, young kids on their knees. And I just got off of work and he drew his gun on me. And I'm like, dude, I'm going in the house. I'm tired. It's whatever. You know what I mean? Willenboro got his nickname Killingboro because it turned around and started going downhill.
Yeah.
People getting murdered, shootings, violence, and all that stuff. School systems totally just fell off. Right. That freaking sucked. But I didn't have a city life like Newark is close to New York, I believe. And them
they're different over there, huh?
Yeah, they're bred differently over there.
Yeah, I know a few homies over there in the area, man, and they all give similar stories. But I will tell you, when I think about areas like Newark, we all hear about areas like Newark, Baltimore, Compton, anywhere in the country, Chicago, these places that are just real rough areas. But people tend to forget that good people still come out of these areas, right?
Yes.
And so whenever that's very intriguing to me how people can be given the same ingredients and make a different cake out of life, right? So I know a lot of people out of Newark, man, who aren't of their life. They had to live through it, but they're different people. They're not what you would expect come out of Newark. I know people out of Baltimore. I got a good friend of mine right now. She's a dispatcher up at Baltimore, but she grew up like on the block in the hood. Like she told me some stories she's had, but for her mom was just very stern, and she she took another turn. So that's interesting. So as a father of two boys, man, I just thought about that. 2 boys. what are some concerns of yours, if any? Like when you think about trying to prepare your boys for the next phase of their life as they go into, I guess, 2030 and 2040 and 2050, they're in adulthood.
That's a scary thought, man.
I know,
Because
right?
we keep on going the route we're going. The first off, you gotta teach them, being young Black men, don't make any sudden movements.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the first rule. And then
Yeah.
you got to make them realize this too. It's just like, it's easy to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's where a lot of people, fall down, because I was offered to, travel around and transport drugs, get a few dollars every day.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily I had a dad who threatened me and said, if I ever go to jail, that he would empty a can of mace in my cell every day that I was there.
You
The
got
shit
love
out.
pops. You got love pops.
Yeah. But then they also pointed out, doing that type of stuff, that they could lose their house. They could lose, family could lose their houses just because doing the wrong thing. It'll link everybody together, and they'll take the shit.
Yeah.
So what I had to worry about with my children is like, hey, don't get caught out there with the cops. Don't get caught out there doing bad things. Don't get stuck in a square where you believe that you can only accomplish this, this, and this, when you could do so much more, right? And just, you ain't got, another thing I would say to them is literally, you don't have to believe in saying the word God, Allah, whatever.
Yeah.
Just as long as you believe that there is something higher than you, we good.
I guess to take the question one step further, and I think this is something that, so I've had to have several conversations with people during COVID, during the pandemic, people being sick, for some people losing family members, some people losing friends. And the interesting thing about this virus, and I guess again, a lot of irony here, we're in a state right now, our race relations in our country right now are probably the worst they've been in a long time. No secret, we all know that. But we're also being stricken by a virus that doesn't give a damn what color you are.
Exactly.
Right. And so I've had a lot of conversation with people, in recent months, last couple of years, I guess, white, Black, all nationalities. And they talk about they lost a family member to COVID. I say, you know what, man? We have to do the same thing. Like, we lose a family member, had to call the family in, make burial arrangements. Like, it's the same process, no matter what color you are, right? And so going back to the question actually about you and your boys growing up, is there anything that you look at society and say, man, I'm just like you? Like, sometimes I feel that way. Sometimes I feel like, bro, we're the same. But like, I'm having to work that much harder. Like, do you ever think about how, you might not because you're a very positive person, but just wish that people can understand I didn't have the same issues you have, had the same stresses you have, had the same. And it's very weird that you have to raise your boys completely different than someone else merely because of the color of their skin.
Yeah, dude, look. Go ahead.
I had a conversation with a guy, a white friend of mine, last year, and we were talking about it. It was during the whole issue with the Confederate flag, and he's a real cool dude, and I could appreciate him because he just flat out admitted. He said, "Listen, I didn't grow up around many Black people." He said, and I'm sad to say, at 35 years old, you're like the first Black guy I ever knew that I could like actually have conversations with, right? And because of that, he wanted to ask questions, stuff he didn't realize. And I didn't have a problem with it. I'm not one of those shallow people who like, oh, you should know. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I didn't go to Princeton, so I don't understand, I wouldn't understand the life on a Princeton campus. So it is educating. But I gave him an example. He said, man, when you get pulled over, he said, what really goes through your mind when you get pulled over? I said, be very quiet and be very still. I said, when I get pulled over, my first thoughts are make sure my hands are always visible. Make sure I speak in a very polite tone. Make sure I'm mannerable. Make sure I say yes, sir, and no, sir, to another man who's probably younger than I am. All right. All these things just to make sure that things don't escalate. He said, dude, I'd never think about that. I said, I know you don't. Right. And you got to raise your boys now completely different than he would have to raise his daughter or his son. And I don't know. I've heard you talk about a few things on your page, and I think you and I share the same sentiments. Like we could just do so much better as a people,
Yes.
and it would be better for everybody. Um, we always tend to come together when all our asses on the line. So right now we have this thing going on Russia, right? So everybody's scared.
Yeah.
So when I go buy gas, it's gonna be high as hell for me. When you go buy gas, it's gonna be high for you. When my neighbor who's Hispanic goes by, it's gonna be high for him. So we come together now, but then whenever shit gets smooth back out, it's like, oh, I hate you again all of a sudden.
Yep.
That's crazy. So your wife, did you guys know each other when you were younger? Did you guys meet later in life?
We actually met, what, I want to say, actually, we've been together for what, 3 years now? And we met each other online through Hinge, right? And been kicking it ever since that. So it's only been 3 years we've known each other, but she's been the deepest relationship that I done ever had.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you said, me and you being raised a certain way, we're taught to be a certain way. And emotions was one of the things that we didn't really get trained on. Right. And especially with me, I know me, the military, they try to kick emotions out the door. So the one thing I admitted to her was that I felt that I had to relearn how to be in a relationship, because I want to consider your emotions. I want to consider your feelings. You saved my life, and now I want to, repay you by, trying to learn this emotional thing. All my other ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, right? I turned around and screwed them over, and I'll take part blame for it, not knowing what I know now, that I didn't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to show emotions. I didn't know what it meant to, be the husband that, well, how do you feel, baby? And not feel like a punk for trying to show you emotion.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So you guys meeting online, do you think I'm gonna get back to everything you just said, but it made me think about something. You think about how different life is now, because you gotta think meeting someone online back in 2000 was like it's kind of shifty. But like now, most people I know who have successful marriages and relationships, they mostly met online. Do you think it's kind of interesting how, because we talk about social media a lot today, do you think it's kind of interesting how we as a society have started moving more in that direction? And I'll tell you this. I think one thing about dating online that might be the upside is I think people tend to be a little more truthful with who they are sometimes, because it's like, okay, if it don't work out, there's no real ties. Like we hadn't dated, we hadn't hung out. So like we could chat a few times, but I realized, okay, off rip, we ain't, and we can move on quickly.
yes.
I think maybe before when we were younger, you have to kind of hang out a little bit, and before you know it, you're 3 or 4 dates in before you realize shit ain't gonna fly, and like, oh, and how I'm gonna break this off. So you think it's a little different? You think it's interesting how we do that now?
Yeah, it's that pros and cons, man. Like you can still say dating online, because you got people who will show themselves online, be like, hey, this is really me. I remember the first date I went on with my wife. I told her straight, I said, look, if you're looking for a sugar daddy, if you're looking for somebody that got money, it ain't me. I'm broke.
Yeah.
Right. And that was me being upfront and honest.
Yeah.
But in the past, I wasn't like that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm cool. I'm all right. I'm trying to put on a show in Peacock. Nah, but it also depends on how you use it. Right. I've been scammed online. I've been catfished online. I've been, lied to. But that's it boils down to the person. You know what I mean? Like the person who uses a tool and uses it the wrong way, they're going to get bad results.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks, but it's the truth about humanity. It's just we could do so much more if we learn to be honest and open. But there's a lot of liars out there. There's a lot of rotten people.
Yeah. So before I let you go, we're creeping about an hour now. So powerlifting, I know you've been in and out for obvious reasons in terms of in the mix of what's going on. What do you think about the state of powerlifting right now, as far as much you've been aware of so far?
I'm still a baby at powerlifting, so I don't know too much about it. But looking from the outside in, I see where it's starting to turn more into let me, get my followers up. Let me, Instagram it out. Let me not,
Mhm.
let me make it about me.
Mhm.
Right. Before in the past where you saw like Arnold Schwarzenegger and them, they were in the gym sweating and cutting and bleeding
Mhm.
together. Now it's like there isn't, the camaraderie is sort of getting watered down,
Yeah.
and people are losing the thought of caring about each other and motivating each other.
Mhm.
It's just, I don't like that too much. But on the opposite end of it, I also seen where powerlifting and weightlifting, I love it to death. And the people
Mhm.
that I got my circle with, we yell, scream, fight each other, love each other like we're a family.
Yeah.
Powerlifting saved my life, so I can't really say anything wrong about it.
Yeah. When when I first started, you know, powerlifting, and I fell into the same trap most people do nowadays. Like, man, I want to go followers up. Who doesn't? That's
Mm,
kind of a cool thing to do. And I started reaching out to people trying to do collabs. I wouldn't say collaborations, but I just want to work out with them. But obviously, if you work out
yeah,
with people nowadays, you're gonna post. Like, it is kind of, it is what it is. And I very early on I realized that if I didn't have enough followers, I couldn't get in this, I couldn't work out with certain people. Right. And
exactly.
so when my following did pick up a little bit, that was one thing I always make sure I would never do. I would never say, yo, I can't work out with you because, for some stupid reason. If it wasn't a legitimate reason, like, I'll work out with anyone.
Mm,
And you're right, it's a lot of popularity stuff, like more of a popularity contest,
mm.
but it is what it is. So you say powerlifting saved your life. So I mean, what were you doing before powerlifting? Like, what was the course of things for you before powerlifting?
Before powerlifting, like I was dealing with depression, explosive anger, PTSD, a lot of mental issues I was dealing with, all the way down to suicidal thoughts. I didn't even want
Mhm.
to front you. And I found that when I got into weightlifting, I can't even say powerlifting. When I got into weightlifting, right, it was it was at Giants Gym in Delran.
Mhm.
And it wasn't one of these the musclehead gyms where you was supposed to not be loud, but it wasn't Planet Fitness where you had to be quiet.
Mhm.
So I'm in there and I found out that, oh, I could yell a little bit, I could scream a little bit, I could let
Mhm.
loose a little bit. Then I found Garden State Barbell, and that's when it just blew the fuck up. Cussing, yelling, screaming, getting all that stress, all them dark thoughts, pitting in the bar, and then just going to town and just lifting, and then smacking and taking pre-workout and freaking just I'm ranting right now because I'm getting excited.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what powerlifting did. It gave me a way of venting. It became my therapy. It became a way of life. And the people I met, I loved them all to death. But being in a coma, they told me straight up, they said the only reason why I was able to last that long in a coma is because I had enough muscle on me for my body to eat.
Mm.
So that part saved my life. The suicidal thoughts, the fact that I could take the aggression out on the bar and the weights and yell at people and smack city,
Mhm.
it allowed me to vent and be safe, right? PTSD, but once again, lifting weights, it kept those dark thoughts and voices at bay because they had a vent.
Yeah.
So powerlifting literally saved my life, and weightlifting was my therapy. And I wish more people would find something that they love that they could put that type of passion into,
Mhm.
because it would help so much more.
Yeah. Now, when I first met you, you had a camera in your hand. So, man, what led to that? Like, when you first started in the media stuff. I mean, you're actually pretty damn good at it, bro. I mean, I know you don't do a great of edits and everything, but you're really good with the camera. So, where the
Mhm.
interest come from? You just picked it up one day, so I want to try this out.
Well, I was one of those type of people who, how can I say, I double and dabble. I did massage therapy, carpentry, cars, right, airbrushing, and I was dating a young lady, and her uncle was doing photography,
Mhm.
right? I believe his name was Uncle Joe, and Uncle Joe's. My friends were like, "You have to pick something, right? You can't just be lollygagging all over the place." So I picked photography, and it corresponded with my PTSD,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not gonna go into detail about that part. My brother told me don't tell nobody, and it helped. It
Mhm.
gave me an essence of, where I could take pictures and put my thoughts into a single frame. Then it turned into videos and doing video editing. and where I could bring what I'm thinking to light and show people.
Yeah.
And luckily I had it when I got into weightlifting, because then, like I said, I met you, you know what I'm saying? I met other people, right? Videoed them, and I hear people say, oh, it motivates me, and I found love there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you know, it's funny about us meeting each other. I met a lot of people in my 10 years or so, you know, I'll say on the scene. And yeah, you meet people, and some people, yo, just get my IG. All right, I'll follow you, right? And when you first meet a person, you never know where that friendship or relationship is gonna go, you know, from that one moment of you guys talking. I do think it's kind of funny because when you and I met, we didn't even rap that much that day. We talked a little bit, but it was kind of real quick, right? But you was just always a solid dude, solid brother, man. So I think that's why we're still here today, you know, still in touch as we were. I was able to get in touch with you about doing the interview, and you were able to do it for me, man. I appreciate it. So for you, Tiny Richardson, going forward from March 4th, 2022, the next step in life, what are you trying to make happen for you the next, I guess, say 12 months of yourself?
I want to get stronger. I want to get back into the gym. I want to give my kids something to look up to. And I just want to try and unify as many people as I could do in order to get them to start showing more love in the world.
Yeah.
That's literally all I want.
That's what's up, man. I wouldn't expect anything less from a boy. So Tiny Richardson, man. So I'm gonna put all his IG information in the caption, everyone. All right, you have a YouTube, bro?
Yeah.
All right, I'll put his YouTube information down there too, man. Y'all make sure you go follow him, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Same here. Follow, subscribe, add the alert. Bro, thank you. Thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you.
We gotta do it again sometime. I think we have a lot more stuff in common than we maybe even realize. I think we have a lot more good discussions. If you want to get that podcast pumping, let me know. I'll get on there with you. We can talk about some good stuff.
I'm down for that.
Conversations, man. But Tiny Richardson, bro, thank you, man.
Yes, sir.